after Christmas. We still have one more thing to get past this month to finish off the year, and that's on December 31st. We have Anu back. Everybody, Anu's back. Anu's back.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Very good, thank you.
So I know, Simone, people have been just so amazed with the session that you've been doing, and I got to hear about that. So it is just wonderful, and there's so much of learning. I didn't get a chance to actually hear everything, which I will.
Yes.
But I know there were some just amazing sessions that we had, and there was so much of, even through your the group chat,
Yes.
the things that I was able to kind of just get from there was just amazing. It was really
yes. We're a great group in the WhatsApp group, and we're exchanging information, and I dropped some recipes for everybody. I want to hear for anybody who wants to share if anybody made anything that I provided you with. I know that it was an indulgence, and it's not typically something that we consume because it's not very much aligned with the healthy eating that we like to stick to throughout the year. But it is the holidays, and it's okay to indulge a little. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to get back on track today. So what are we at? 8:05. Would you guys like to start? Can we begin? Everybody's good? Let's do it. Okay. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Oh, Jaspreet, I don't think I can. Oh, there we go. Let's do this. Here we are, everybody. I'm just going to minimize my screen for who I get to see. And here we are with week number 8. It's been 2 months. It's crazy how quickly this has passed, and it's crazy how it feels like it's been forever, but it passed so quickly, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense for anybody, but that's what it feels like for me. Just gonna move this a little bit, admitting the rest of the people coming through. Hi, everybody. So welcome to week 8. Today, we're going to be talking about protein for strength and healing. That's right. Protein is such an important macronutrient. We'll go over all of those components, but let's go through the typical. This is me. For those of you that have been here, I don't know if there are any new people, but those of you that have been here since the beginning, you guys know me. I wrote a book. I'm a holistic transformational health coach. I'm also a nutritional consultant, and I've also studied regenerative detoxification. So how to regenerate cells and tissues through detox. I'm also a holistic cancer practitioner and a personal trainer, which is why I talked at large about the importance of working out. And let's begin with protein. Let's understand protein. So first and foremost, I want you guys to recall back in the beginning when I first started talking about the macronutrients. This is an essential macronutrient. So we have carbohydrates, we have proteins, we have fats, and we also have vitamins and minerals. But protein is an essential macronutrient. And what it means when we say essential, it means that it's actually necessary. It's a life necessity for us. And it's vital for various bodily functions. That's why it's essential. And it's also the building block for tissues, for muscles. And a lot of people think protein, oh, muscle. No, that's not it at all. It actually is required for enzymes. It's required for hormones. And it's also required for immune system components. So the immune system relies heavily on the intake of protein. And I want to talk more about that as well, because a lot of people think that we take protein from the outside and it's protein inside our bodies. That's not how it works, but I'll talk in more detail about that. It's actually chains of amino acids, which then fold into these 3-dimensional shapes. And that's what actually becomes protein. So in fact, the body doesn't actually take protein. For example, if you eat a piece of chicken or beef or fish or whatever it may be that you eat, the body doesn't just take that in and it goes inside our bodies and then it just kind of becomes our muscle. That's not at all how it works. What the body does is it actually breaks everything down and then it turns it into what you see right here. And this is a very enlarged microscopic image of muscle fibers. So basically, this is what it looks like in the beginning. So these are the amino acids. And as you could see, they have like different shapes, different sizes, things like that. And then these amino acids are actually put together in this manner with this little string that you probably see faintly that holds them together. That's actually called a peptide. So that's a peptide bond and it holds the amino acids together. So that proteins are sometimes called polypeptides. That's actually also what other people call it. So if you hear that, that's a synonym for that. But I know that's very sciencey. So the ribosome bonds are the amino acids and they actually fold. So this is how you see the folding here. And that's what actually makes it into the shape of protein. So I wanted everybody to know, I had this conversation with someone just the other week or earlier this week, I forget when it was. And let me give you an example. Imagine you have a house and you want a new kitchen, right, in your house. What you are going to do is you're going to go probably to Lowe's or to Home Depot and you're going to buy the new material that's necessary. Then you're going to come home and you're going to have somebody take out the old cabinets, all the old components of your kitchen, whatever is there, the countertops, the sink, the cabinets, everything. Those are going to get thrown in the garbage and you're going to install everything new. You're not going to go and you're going to take old cabinets, old sink, old countertops from another house and you're going to come and put them in your new house. So that's exactly what I mean when it comes to protein. We're not going to go and take, let's say, the meat that we eat from whether it's beef or whether it's pork or whether it's whatever you eat, whatever kind of meat, whatever kind of animal protein, that's what it's called. The body doesn't just take it in and it becomes your own protein, your own muscle. What it does is it breaks it down and then it arranges it in its own way for its own needs, because we are all biochemically different and we're also at different stages of life. So the protein necessary for a child as it's going through its growth are very different than the protein necessities or the necessary protein for somebody who is 60 or somebody who's 40 or somebody who's 50, somebody who's gone through a major surgery, somebody who is ill, somebody who has cancer, very drastically different. So I don't want anybody to think that every single body across the whole spectrum of life is going to have the same needs. It's going to have the same requirements for its protein. No, that's not it at all. And in fact, because that body is unique, depending on if there's an illness or depending if there's growth necessity, a pregnant woman, for example, she has another life growing inside of her. She's going to need the necessary things for the building of the baby as well as her own. So what the body does is it takes what you feed it. So what goes in gets broken down to these little things here called amino acids. And then the body strings it together just like this. So this is an example. So it put this yellow thing first, then this orange thing, then this teal thing, then this blue thing, then the red thing. But for somebody else, it could be that the purple thing goes first, then the orange thing goes third, and the blue thing goes second, and the pink thing goes first, and the yellow goes last. So every single body has its unique needs, and that's what it does to create the muscle. And in the end, this is what muscle tissue looks like, right? So as you could see, it goes to the most minute, and these are like, you see them right there, those little things, those are the amino acids, and that string that holds them together is the peptide, okay? So there you have it. This is how we build muscle. The body builds the muscle. Don't think that the protein that you eat is the protein that you have, and that's your muscle. That's not how it works. The body itself builds the muscle from the amino acids, from the protein that you eat. That's how it's done. but it does break everything down for its own unique needs. That is really important to know, because a lot of people think it's otherwise. So the role of proteins in health, because as I mentioned to you guys earlier, the immune system, hormones, those things require protein as well. So let's talk about the first thing, the muscle maintenance and the strength of the body. So protein is crucial for maintaining muscle mass, for maintaining strength, and for the strength and the function of the muscles. So imagine that you're not able to flex your arm because there's pain there. So you do need protein to make sure that the body maintains this muscle, maintains it in its healthy format so that it's actually, you're able to do with it what it's meant to do. The same thing for the muscles on the legs, the same thing for the muscles on the abdominal wall, the same thing for the muscles on the back. When you lift things, even if you were to, let's say, lift your groceries, you actually need the muscles to be healthy, to be able to do those things that are part of life. They're functional. It also aids in preventing age-related muscle loss, which is called, if you've heard from any practitioner or doctors, it's called sarcopenia. So that's muscle loss as we age. And I really wanted to bring attention to this because as we age, we are all at risk for this. So that's why it's important that we have a good diet and a good lifestyle that protects our muscle mass to keep us healthy. So the World Health Organization talked about this, and this is quite recent in 2021. So it talked about falls, and it said that falls are the second leading cause of unintentional injury deaths worldwide. So imagine if we fall, we can die. It's that simple. The ability to survive is dependent upon how good our muscles are. That's a structural, the muscle in the body is a structural component that is required for us to be able to function, so that if we fall. So here's an example, and I believe I talked about this before. Imagine you're going down the stairs, okay? So just as I talked about here, muscle maintenance and strength. If you were to trip, or if you were to miss a step, and you fall, you start to fall, your first instinctual response from the body is to try to grab whatever it can that is near for steadying yourself, right? And being able to make sure that you don't injure yourself. So let's say there's a banister as you're going down the stairs. If you don't have the strength, you try to grab that thing, but you don't have the strength in your hand to hold on tight, and you let go of that. Your hand kind of like lets go of it because you don't have the strength in your hand to hold on to it, and you fall down those stairs. It can lead to exactly what we just talked about here. It can lead to unintentional injury and death. Okay? So it's very, very important that you maintain your muscle. So important, more important than people think. Because they think that muscle just happens. It doesn't. Just like the rest of our health, we actually have to maintain it. And the best way to do that is to give the body the building blocks, just like I was talking about the kitchen. You need to go and buy those cabinets and to buy that sink. So you need the cabinets and the sink to build the kitchen, right? So you need the appropriate things from food for the body to be able to build good muscle, like good quality muscle. So protein also helps with wound healing and immune support, which is what I said in the previous slide. So what it does is it accelerates the healing process by supporting the tissue repair. So you actually need proteins to go and repair the tissue. And sometimes it's not necessarily just muscle, although for muscle that happens too, but any tissue in the body, including, let's say, skin, right? Collagen is necessary for skin, for the skin to be built. Well, that's found in proteins, right? Amino acids. And it also boosts immune function, which is vital for overall health. We all know that in our immune system is the thing that saves us from terrible things, and it plays a huge role in making sure that we can bounce back from illness and disease, but it also protects us from getting sick to begin with. So that's why it's so important. I know a lot of people think vitamin C for immune health, but actually protein plays a huge role as well. So you do need to have the proper amino acids from your diet to make sure that you have the proteins in place to help your immune system. And it also helps produce enzymes and hormones. So it's the building block for enzymes and hormone production. And what enzymes do, they facilitate biochemical reactions and they ensure a proper digestion. So what they do in the stomach, the enzymes reside in the stomach, they actually break things down. Sometimes enzymes also go and break down cells that have mutated, cells that are broken, cells that are not healthy. Enzymes rush there, break them down, and then the body utilizes whatever components it can use, and whatever it cannot use, it actually eliminates. And that comes out through sweat, that comes out when we go to the bathroom, things of that nature, or the liver will also detoxify them. Hormone regulation for metabolic functions. So this is the metabolic currency. So muscle is actually a metabolic currency. So if you want to have a good metabolism, you need to have muscle. And to have muscle, you need protein. And to have protein, you need amino acids. And to have amino acids, you need to eat good food, good quality food. So it all boils down to nutrition, right? So muscle is like a sponge. It's like a sponge, and it increases our metabolic rate, and it helps determine the body temperature, you know, when you have hot flashes or when you're hot, and it increases our metabolism. So for those of you that exercise, you know, when you get really hot, well, that's actually the body temperature going up, and it actually, to produce that heat in the body, we get to burn calories. The more muscle we have, the more calories we burn at rest. That's why those people, especially like the people that are fit, the bodybuilders, when you see them, they don't do a lot of running. You don't see them running like maniacs, but they carry a lot of muscle, and it's that muscle that actually helps them maintain good muscle mass, and it also helps them stay very lean, right? So when we become sarcopenic, which is right here, when we lose muscle, which happens as we age, it's muscle loss as we age, we actually lose strength, which puts us at the risk of falls, which we talked about right here. So I really wanted to emphasize on this slide, look how many roles actually protein plays for health and for us to enjoy a good life, right? The quality of life, very important. Protein is very important. But more important than that is amino acids, so that it can build the protein that we use. So protein and aging, because of course, as we age, we want to make sure that we don't lose the muscle, right? Muscle is important as we age. So aging often leads to a decreased muscle mass by nature, okay? We don't have the ability to grow things as we do as when we're young. When we're young and we're still growing, everything grows, right? But when we are older, that actually slows down. So because aging leads to decreased muscle mass, we need more protein. So the protein requirements actually increase as we age, believe it or not. So adequate protein intake, actually, it helps keep that at bay. It helps mitigate the muscle loss, and it supports functional independence. We all want to be able to walk without any help. We all want to be able to carry our groceries. We all want to be independent, strong, and be able to function, right? Without fearing that we're going to fall, without fearing that we're not going to be able to do something. We want to be able to, you know, stand up on a step ladder and reach up for something in a cupboard above the fridge, be able to function like that, be able to pick up a bowl from one of the cabinets to be able to put it on the countertop. Those are all things that as we age and we lose the muscle mass, we're not going to be able to do anymore. So it's important, if you want to maintain independence as you age, you have to make sure that the diet is so good that you get all the macronutrients needed to maintain good muscle, and you maintain, obviously, good working tissues. So what are some of the sources of lean protein? Well, I'm sure that you have heard that poultry, fish, and plant-based options are the top ones. And of course, poultry refers to skinless chicken or turkey breast being the one, or turkey legs. I know a lot of people enjoy that too. And these are actually rich in high quality protein, and they have less saturated fat. We all talked about fat, we all know. Saturated fat, unsaturated fat, we talked about that. Fish is another really good source of lean protein, my favorite. So fatty fish like salmon and mackerel are great for omega-3 fatty acids. So you get good fat and protein all in the same source, which is amazing and really great. And fish actually supports heart health and reduces inflammation as well. So that's actually a lot of positives for fish, which is why we all love it. And then, of course, we have plant-based options. So legumes like beans, lentils, and tofu. So those actually have quite significant amounts of protein as well. And these are ideal for plant-based protein intakes, which are often lower in fat, and for those that don't want to eat anything animal-based. And of course, other sources of protein that are great are also eggs and beef, for those of you that eat, but I just wanted to give you some examples and talk about those in more depth. And now let's do a quiz, because I want to know what the audience knows. So if you've been paying attention over the last 8 weeks that we've talked, and I want to make sure that I allocate a lot of time for Q&A, because that's my favorite part. And I know that all of you amazing people always have really good questions. Let's talk about protein-rich foods. And let me just open my thing here so I could see all of you lovely people. All right. So which of the following is not a macronutrient? So unmute yourself and answer. Just say the answer as it comes to you. So which of the following is not a macronutrient? So there's protein, fiber, carbohydrate, and fat.
C.
B.
Okay. So who said B?
Jaspreet.
Jaspreet, you said B. Who said C?
Sarasu.
Okay,
Oh,
Sarasu.
Mary.
I said
Mary.
C.
C. Okay. Okay. So Jaspreet is right. Fiber is not a macronutrient because fiber comes from something else. But the biggest macronutrients are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Those are the three biggest ones. And they come from different sources, whether they come from grains, from vegetables, from plant-based or animal-based, of course. So protein, carbohydrates, and fats are macronutrients, and fiber is not a macronutrient. Okay, next question. You guys are doing great. Which food is considered a complete protein containing all essential amino acids, all of them, to make sure that it's considered a complete protein? So we have spinach, we have lentils, we have eggs, and we have oatmeal.
Lentils.
Okay,
C.
who else?
I would say eggs.
Eggs. Savita, you said it first. That's right. Eggs are a complete protein. And in fact, all protein, whenever you want to measure protein, it's measured against the egg. So egg is the actual overarching, I guess, the measuring stick, if you will, for protein. It has like all the amino acids. It's the healthiest. It's got a good balance of fat as well, and a lot of other nutrients. So eggs.
Sorry to interpret. If suppose somebody doesn't eat eggs, so for them, what is the best option?
Oh, you could get from like all of the other ones that I showed you. So poultry, so you could get it from fish, you could get it from turkey, you could get it from beef, you can get it from spinach, you can get it from lentils, you can get it from tofu, all the other ones.
If somebody is vegetarian, so spinach and lentils are the options.
Chickpeas, yep, that's right. All other beans, tofu, that's right, yep. And even quinoa, if you want to eat that, quinoa has a lot of protein as well. But remember, it's actually amino acids you're looking for. So that's what the body gets from all those, the amino acids, and it builds its own protein. All right, next question. Class is in session. What is the recommended daily intake of protein for an average sedentary adult? And to define that, it means for an adult that does not go to the gym, does not work out, does not get exercise. So 10 to 15 grams, 50 to 75 grams, 100 to 150 grams, or 200 to 250 grams.
It's C.
10 to 15.
I say 50 to 75.
C, 100 to 150.
10 to 15.
Okay. So Mary, 10 to 15. Who said 50 to 75?
Me.
Okay. So Savita says 50 to 75. Who said 100 to 150?
Sander.
Okay. And anybody 200 to 250? Nobody. Okay, good. That's that.
Sorry if I may.
Go ahead.
I'd say for if you take into account maybe a heavier individual, I'd say 200 to 250 if they don't work out.
Yeah, bodybuilders typically take about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. But the average person who is sedentary, so doesn't work out, doesn't exercise, sits a lot, Savita's right. It's 50 to 75.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next question. We're almost done. Which of the following is not a benefit of protein in the diet? Muscle maintenance and repair, hormone regulation, boosting dental health, and immune system support.
I think it's C.
C.
Okay.
Yeah, dental health.
C. Okay. Perfect. Yes, everybody got it right. That's right. No, it does not support dental health, but it does support muscle maintenance. It actually supports muscle repair as well. It helps with hormone regulation and even hormone production. And it also helps with immune system support. Absolutely. Okay. Next question. True or false? Let me just move this thing out of the way here so I could read better. True or false? Proteins are primarily responsible for providing energy to the body. True or false?
True.
True.
Anybody else?
False.
Who said false?
I did.
Okay,
Chanda.
Jess. Yes, that's right. It's actually false. Carbohydrates are the primary energy provider. Protein is the provider of what we talked about: muscle repair, hormone production, immune system health, but it's carbohydrates that provide energy. So that one was false. Okay, next question. Animal-based proteins are the only source of complete proteins. True or false?
False.
False.
False. That's right. That's right. You guys got it right. So you could find complete sources of protein in plant-based as well. So quinoa is one of them. Next one. Consuming too much protein can lead to kidney damage. True or false?
True.
True.
False.
Anybody else?
Actually, I don't know.
Okay. So yes, extreme. Okay. So extreme protein intake that the body cannot process can lead to kidney damage. And it can also lead to other things like gout. That's right. So yes, but that's in extreme cases. Most people don't even get enough to cover the basics. So it's very difficult to get a lot of protein, especially because protein is, it makes you feel full very quickly. A lot of people, when they don't want to overeat, if you eat a good amount of protein, it'll prevent you from overeating. So protein is the best thing you can have. It's also something that you can have in the event that you feel like, well, I want a snack. Instead of eating chips or cookies or, you know, some sort of pastry, having something that's protein related, like let's say a can of tuna or a piece of fish or a piece of meat of any kind that you like, or even some lentils like dal, which I had last night, which was amazing, is actually really good. But yeah, most people cannot get enough protein, and too much is very difficult to take in. Although there have been cases, you guys can go if you're ever bored and want to go check online. There have been cases of bodybuilders that took in such extreme amounts of protein that it led to kidney failure. So it's very true. All right, protein deficiency can result in symptoms like muscle wasting and fatigue. True or false?
True.
Very true. That's right. You guys are such an amazing group. That's right. So protein deficiency results in muscle wasting, which is sarcopenia, which we just talked about, right? So most people, like I said, do not get enough protein in their diet to be able to support what they need. Never mind to do a little bit more. Most people don't get enough. So yes, there's a protein deficiency. In fact, I would say that in overall, I'm a big believer that the obesity epidemic, it's not so much that people are obese, it's that they don't have enough muscle. Because the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. The less muscle you have, the more fat you put on really quickly. So muscle is such, remember I said it's like metabolic currency. It actually kicks in your metabolism. So the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism. The faster your metabolism, the more fat you burn. So that's important. Protein deficiency is really bad. True or false? The protein needs of a competitive athlete are the same as those of a sedentary individual.
No, false.
False. False.
That's correct. That's false. So yes, competitive athletes require really, really good quality, healthy muscles to be able to perform in their respective sports. Otherwise, they would be breaking bones much easier. They would have fractures. They would get injuries. So very important that they get really good quality protein and adequate in related to their sports. Like, for example, if you're going to have a soccer player or football, for those of you that are from the UK, if you have a player that has to run a lot for their sport, or let's say even a hockey player here in North America, they actually cannot be heavy and big like those big bodybuilders because they need to be agile. They need to be able to run fast. So the requirements for a bodybuilder are much bigger than that of a soccer player. The soccer player has to eat in line with what his body needs and what he has to do as an output. So they need to run a lot. They need a lot of carbohydrates. They also need healthy muscles. So their requirements for protein are different than that of a bodybuilder. But it's important to really make sure, just like I said in the beginning, that depending on your requirements, whether you're pregnant, whether you're recovering from surgery, whether you're a runner, whether you want to have a good quality of life, you have to make sure that you eat in line with that. So as a recap, make protein a priority, okay? Because your life really depends on it. Remember what the WHO said? That we can actually die from a fall. So muscle is very important. Therefore, protein is important to make sure we have that muscle. So protein supports health, muscle strength, immune health, and hormone production, okay? You need to choose proteins from various sources. Don't go and eat the same thing over and over and over. Having like a good, because each individual thing has its own nutrients in it. So the more variety we have, the more nutrients the body pulls from, okay, for its requirements. So that's important. You should include protein at every meal, okay? So for example, if you have breakfast, you should have things like eggs, okay? They provide you with what the muscles need. If you're going to be having a glass of orange juice and toast, that does not give you any protein. It just gives you sugar. So it's important to make sure that you eat protein at every meal. And and I have another one coming up for you guys, but all the recipes that I've given you guys actually always include some sort of protein. I gave you guys beans, I gave you guys fish, I gave you guys chicken, I gave you guys beef. So all of those things are important to have at every meal. So if for lunch you're going to have a salad, and you need to put something on it. So whether you're going to put some tuna, whether you're going to have a piece of salmon, whether you're going to have tofu, whether you're going to have lentils, whatever you're going to have, you need to have it. And the same thing for in the evening. So if you had, let's say, lentils, for lunch, then have a piece of fish in the evening, or whatever it is that you eat. You could have like hummus, so chickpeas instead, if you're not going to be the one that eats anything animal based. So speaking of recipes, of course, I'm going to tell you guys, because I really want to pound the salad in. You guys need the fiber, and this one has, like I called it, protein-packed quinoa salad. So it has quinoa, it has grilled chicken. So this is what I put. However, you can choose something else. If you want to make, I don't know, turkey, you can make turkey. If you want to make beef, like you could get like a little bit of steak. If you eat beef, you could do that. If you want, you can have fish, so a piece of salmon or whatever other kind of fish you enjoy. I also put mixed vegetables, so that's a lot of fiber. I also put fresh herbs so that you could actually have parsley, mint, cilantro, dill, whatever you prefer. You could have the taste from that, right? Avocado gives you really good fat, and olive oil and lemon dressing so that you could actually obviously have your salad dressed. And then obviously here are the instructions of how you put it together. It's tasty, it's nutritious. It obviously incorporates lean proteins, which you need, remember that. And it's also essential for strength and for healing. So especially if you are overcoming something, whether it's a cold, whether it's a flu, whether it's you had surgery or you're getting ready for surgery, even if you are getting ready for surgery, and it's most places in the body, because we have muscles on all places, okay? So the heart is a muscle, right? We have muscles on the face, muscles on the arms, we have muscles on the abdominal wall, we have muscles on the chest, on the back, on the legs, on our buttocks, everywhere there's muscle. So if you have to have surgery in any part of the body, chances are that the doctor has to pass through the muscle to get to where they need to get to do the surgery, to repair whatever it is. So that muscle will need to be healthy to be able to fix itself and heal really quickly. So that's why it's important even in advance. And you all know, if you go to the doctor, what do? They do tests to make sure you are fit for surgery, especially your heart. The heart muscle has to be really healthy, because what they do is, if you're going to take general anesthetic, what they do is they slow your heartbeat down really, really low. So that muscle has to be really strong when they start it back up, right? That's why, like Michael Jackson, when he died because he couldn't come out of his anesthesia, right? So his blood pressure was too low. He couldn't get his heart going again. So he died. But yeah, very, very important to make sure that you maintain health. And especially, speaking of protein, when you come out of surgery, or even if you go in surgery, doctors would not even do surgery if you're not healthy. If you are under the weather, or if you're sick, if you have a cold or the flu, they're not going to operate on you. Your immune system has to be at the very top when you're going to go into surgery, because the immune system is going to have to fight off infections that you might get at the site of the surgery. So the immune system is so, so crucial at that time. And protein helps the immune system, right? So you need to make sure you have a good diet and have the proper protein in it before you go into surgery. You have to have protein after you go into surgery, so your body can recover and it can heal, and it can actually make sure that you don't get infections. Or if you do get infections, your immune system has to be really strong to be able to fight off that infection, right? So what I'm trying to say is that no matter from what angle you look at it from, you need protein. You really need to have really good protein in your diet to make sure that it keeps you healthy, strong, so you can function. So there you guys have it. I heard that somebody took a picture of it, but that's okay, because this is obviously going to be made available. I could drop it in the WhatsApp group and you can have access to this. So questions, my friends, questions. My favorite part of the entire session is right now. I hope you have questions. Anybody?
So what about when we have just spinach in the food? In the lunchtime or dinner time, spinach and bread.
So you would have to have, in order to meet your daily requirements of your protein intake, you would have to have a lot of spinach to be able to meet the requirement. So spinach has protein, but it doesn't have the equivalent of what you would need. So the daily recommended obviously has to be in line with, for you, depending on what your requirements are. If you're obviously working out, if you're sedentary, if you have any kind of illness that requires you to stay healthy. So you do need to have protein that comes in from more. I mean, if you can eat a lot of spinach, absolutely, go ahead. It's a plant-based thing. But I would mix that with something else. I would mix it with lentils. I would mix it with chickpeas. I would mix it with navy beans. I would mix it with something else to make sure that you get more, so that you can get what you need.
And talking about the breakfast, in the breakfast, is that oats and milk is good enough?
No, I would definitely not say that that's good enough. No, it's actually a lot of carbohydrates. So if you're going to have those carbohydrates and then you're not going to move, you're just going to, and this is, we're talking about carbohydrates next week, you're going to really spike your blood sugar, and then if you're not moving to burn that fat out of your blood, then is it going to get into your cells? And well, whatever doesn't get into the cells, especially if you've already had sugar from previously, it's going to get stored as fat. So you don't want to spike your blood sugar for no reason. In fact, it's better that you eat proteins and fats instead of, like, people who eat a lot of protein and fat do not have type 2 diabetes. The reason why type 2 diabetes exists is because people mess around with their blood sugar. So it's the blood sugar that leads to type 2 diabetes. So when you mess around with that, and typically that comes from breads, pastas, pastries, things of that nature, those are the things that actually produce a lot of the sugar spikes, the blood sugar spikes. And then that puts a lot of, pressure on your pancreas. Bonnie.
I'm wondering about nuts and seeds.
Perfect.
Are they a good source of protein?
I wouldn't say they're a good source of protein. They do have a little bit of protein, but you cannot eat a handful of nuts and say that you met your requirements for protein for the day. No, that's why I said earlier what I said. You need to pull on nutrients from different sources. So for example, if you're going to have nuts and seeds in your salad and you put some lentils and you also have spinach in that salad, and like you put some tofu cubes in there because you don't eat meat, then that should give you a whole bunch of protein. That's better. But I would not rely on those things for your protein intake. Do you eat any kind of meat, any animal products, eggs?
Well, not for lunch. For lunch, I usually have yogurt and nuts and seeds and dried fruit. But
Okay.
For supper, I'll have protein.
Okay.
But I don't like having protein for breakfast or lunch. So I guess that has to change.
Yeah, you really do need it. Your body does need it. I know that a lot of people have always thought that protein is muscle, but it's really not. Protein plays such a bigger role than just, I mean, of course, the fitness industry has talked about muscle because that's what they are always obsessed with, how big the muscles are. But in fact, even that is actually, it has merit, because if you do have muscle, you're obviously strong, you're obviously healthy, you obviously have a good immune system, because these people eat a lot of protein to grow their muscles, but they get other benefits in the process. So that's actually really good. But yeah, you definitely need to have adequate intake, because you do not want to end up with sarcopenia, and you do not want to have any kind of falls that lead to fractures and bone breaks or anything like that. And I know that a lot of people, for example, especially the elderly, when you fall and then you're bedridden for months, because as we're older, we don't heal as quickly. And if the fall is so bad that it takes a very long time to heal, like let's say somebody falls and breaks their hip, that takes a long time to heal. And you're in bed and you're in the same position, you also start to get bed sores. So the skin starts to break down in the area that you're lying on, because it doesn't get any oxygen, it doesn't get washed, it doesn't get any movement, so there's not as much blood circulation. And what happens is then that can get infected. So now you're not only dealing with the break, with the break of the bone, now you're dealing with these sores that get infected, and your immune system does not know in which direction to go to try to heal what first. So you're now at a higher risk, which is why typically a lot of people end up dying from these falls. So that's why it's very important that you address it in advance, have really good quality muscle that's strong. And that's why when we talked about, the importance of exercise, even a walk is going to do so much good, because it actually keeps you healthy and it prevents these things from happening. So yes, it's very important that you get adequate protein, no protein deficiency. Savita.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question. We are fasting, I'm vegetarian, and I'm fasting once a week.
Great,
And
that's
we don't
amazing.
take lentils, we don't take we take only fruits and vegetables. So what do you suggest to get everything so that in one day I get all the proteins and iron and all the things in my diet?
So I do about a 24-hour fast once a week too,
Yes,
on
yes,
average. Sometimes 36, depends, which is really, really great. It gives your digestive system a chance to, relax, slow down, clean up. So that's very important. If you're going to be going back to eating, you have to go back to eating normally afterwards so that you can provide the body with everything it needs to continue doing all the things that it does. When we fast, there's enough amino acids that flow through the bloodstream from the day that just passed, and you ate proper, right? And even if you look at the Muslim community, they fast during the day, but then they have to take their food at night, right? And that's the same with intermittent fasting. So when you break your fast, I would break the fast with something very easy on the digestive system. Fruit is the best thing because it's very quick, it's very easy, and it also hydrates you. Then
how about the green? Sorry, how about the green salad?
Green salad would be okay too. Yeah, absolutely.
What about cheese? What about cheese?
No, we don't take cheese. No milk.
No, I'm asking. Cheese is a source of protein. How good it is as a source of protein?
It's not. It has more fat than protein. I wanted to actually say because when Bonnie asked the question, she said she eats yogurt for lunch. So Greek yogurt is actually a pretty good source of protein. You could do that. Just don't sweeten it. Make sure you take the one that's plain. You add whatever you want to add to it. You said you add, which is great, nuts and seeds. That's like really good quality fat. It has a little bit more protein. So that's pretty good. But just make sure that it's not that stuff that's like, fruit on the bottom and no name, and look at the.
How about homemade yogurt?
Which one?
Homemade yogurt.
You can
Homemade?
Homemade, yeah.
Yeah, you can do homemade. I used to make, but you have to make sure you get good quality milk so that you can get the proper protein. And then afterwards you can add protein sources to it. You could add some, exactly. Like you could definitely do that. It's actually probably the best because you control what goes in it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Simone.
Yep, you're welcome. Anybody else? Chandra, I see your hand is up.
Can you give us the any example of like if we have breakfast, what could be there and lunch?
Yeah.
Like especially the people who don't eat meat like me or eggs, and or another question is like so it sounds like nuts and dry nuts have no doesn't really matter as far as protein goes if we eat it or not.
Well, I'll start with your second question. So the nuts actually have a lot of nutrients. They do have a little bit of protein, but it's not, you cannot rely on nuts because you're going to take in a lot of fat. So it's not a good balance of fat and protein. Like a good balance of fat and protein would be like fish, like salmon. That's really good fat, really good protein. So that's a good balance. Nuts and seeds typically don't have that. They do have a little bit of protein, but you cannot rely on them as being your main source of protein intake. Because then you're going to be you need to eat a lot of them, and then you take in a lot of fat. However, they are good. What I would do is I do this. Hemp seeds, I add them to salads. I put sunflower seeds. I put pumpkin seeds, my favorite. They have a lot of zinc. You guys should all eat them because zinc is really good for the immune system as well. So that's really good. So to answer your first question, if you don't eat any animal, and I was actually vegan for about 10 years. And in the beginning, I was raw vegan. I wasn't even eating any cooked food. Okay, so here is what I would recommend. In the morning, I would do what I said to Bonnie, Greek yogurt. If you're going to have breakfast, Greek yogurt, you could add some nuts and seeds in it. And You can have, of course, your coffee, whatever else, but that should make you full really quickly. And if you want to add a little bit of carbohydrates to it, you can add like a little bit of granola. Not a lot, a little bit, just for taste. No sugar. Then for lunch, I would have something like, I would put either, if you're going to make a soup, like lentil soup, something that has good quality like protein in it, or you could do whatever, if you're going to do chickpeas or any other beans. Then in the evening, I would do one of the bowls that I gave you guys. So I would do like a big hearty salad. You get a lot of fiber. I would put quinoa in it. You could do that in exchange for lunch instead. And you could do the lentils, the soup at night, or dal, or whatever it is that you eat. So those are things that you can do. But you have to make sure that you get a good intake so that you can meet your protein requirements. Oftentimes, people do not. And the reason why the WHO has come out and said what they said about the falls is because that's actually happening a lot. So that is illustrating that we do have a protein deficiencies, especially for the elderly. And understandably so, because in the past, we did not have the same kind of access to the research that we have access to now, because we've been able to do a lot of research on the requirements for people depending on things, right? I mean, we've advanced enough that we've been able to do the research and the studies to know. So right now, the people that sort of were not aware in the past, they did not sort of grow up, you know, developing the habits of eating good amounts of proteins and good carbohydrates. People just thought, well, I'm eating, so that's good enough. But that's not how it is, because like I said in one of the earlier sessions, what we put in the body expresses in the body and on the body. So if you're putting food in the body and the body gets sick, then you have to wonder, what kind of food are you putting in? Is it food that is actually helping you get healthy? Is it food that is keeping you healthy? Or is it food that is actually putting you towards illness and disease? So right now, because we do have, it's never too late, like I've been saying in all the sessions, it's never too late to start eating good food, and the body will take what it needs at all times for its needs. And I really wanted to make sure that I drive this home, because we do have a protein deficiencies, especially in the elderly, and the falls are a big issue. And what I mentioned to you guys about the bed sores, that is huge in the health industry. So I urge you all to make sure that you take in good quantities. I know that oftentimes we just take a little bit, and then, you know, once the hunger goes away, you stop eating. You're like, oh, I ate, I'm okay. But did you have a good intake of all the nutrients that you need? Because just like I said, if you don't take in good food, or if you don't take enough good food, it's the same, because the body looks for a certain amount of protein to be able to build all those things. Like I showed you guys here, let me just bring up that first slide again. So imagine, okay, so protein is going to be helping you with tissues, muscle, enzymes, hormones, and immune system. So imagine, like, you need a lot to be able to give it to each one of those components. So if you have in very little, that means, like, let's say you take in 10 grams, then imagine it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 grams per. That's nowhere near enough. You need to have a really good amount for the body to be able to allocate enough to to the muscles, to the enzyme production, to the hormones that we need, especially for us ladies. You know, we're cyclical, right? Our hormones go up and down. For men, it's more like this, but for us women, it's more like this. So we need more at certain times of the month than at other times. Even when we're menopausal, we still produce hormones. We still need to be able to have enough of what the body needs to produce those hormones. Otherwise, that's why doctors, what do they say? Hey, I'm going to put you on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, because we don't have enough hormones. So you need to have enough intake of the necessary foods and nutrients to be able to give to all of these things, to the muscles, to the enzymes, to the hormones, to the immune system. And there's so much more. Like there's other things that you know, your brain needs stuff, your you know, your lungs need, your heart needs, every single body, like body part, body system, organ, every single thing in the body needs its own things. And a lot of people don't eat in line with that. A lot of people. They eat things that are not helping them, and they don't eat enough of the things that are helping them. And honestly, protein is an important one. And I just refer to it as protein because that's what everybody, but it's amino acids. So every single thing that you eat, the body goes and breaks it down in these, and then it strings them together like this for its own needs. And then it uses it for its own things, right? For like the muscle and for the enzymes and so on and so forth. So I urge you all to make sure that you have good intakes depending on what your needs are. I know that Chandra, you said that you do yoga, you go for a walk, you meditate. So you're quite active. So you probably require a little bit more than somebody who doesn't do anything. So it's important to have good intake.
My next question is, how we determine that this much protein we need for the day? Like, according to who will tell us?
Well, so I would say on average, if you take in 0.6 to 0.8, and this is average, I would say my preference would be 1 gram of protein for each pound of weight. So if you are 120 pounds, you should take in 120 grams of protein. But instead of that, if you want, you can also do it for 0.8. So instead of 1 full gram, you do 0.8 grams. So that would be, let me just times 120, that would be 96 grams. And I'll tell you, a lot of people don't take in anywhere near that. Remember what I showed you guys in that quiz? Most people get like
that is way too much.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't. But remember that 96 grams has to go to muscles, the immune system, hormones, all other tissues. Like there's a lot that has to be given to many, 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 many things. So yes, it seems like a lot, and a lot of people don't take that in. A lot of people don't take that in, but it's so important. There's a little bit of protein in avocado. So if you put avocado, and that's why I told you, the more varied your diet, the more you get.
This is really eye-opening, actually.
Yeah, I know. You know, I'll tell you, this thing here from the World Health Organization, yeah, that was very, when, like, I mean, these studies have been going on for a lot longer, but yeah. So look what it says here, because I just took a snippet of it. Each year, an estimated 684,000 individuals die from falls globally. So that's over 500,000 people. That's a lot. Just from a fall, kids fall every day. Imagine if they died. But they get up and they go because obviously their body is strong. So that's why it's important for even us as we age to make sure that we stay strong. And the best way to keep bones healthy is to make sure that you do exercises that have resistance. So if you don't want to do weights at the gym, you could still do bands. You could do any kind of resistance, even if you do a squat with your own body weight. Sit in the chair, get up from the chair. Sit in the chair, get up from the chair. That is resistance. Your leg muscles are working against resistance. That will build the muscle. The muscles are anchored, like the muscle of the arm is anchored here and here. So this bicep muscle is anchored into the bone. So if the muscle is healthy, that means the bone is healthy. And if you take in all the things that you get from your diet, the body's going to use that to give to the bones too, to make sure it maintains the bones. So very important that your diet is sound, very important that you have the proper nutrients coming in to prevent this from happening, especially this. So if you can get, especially now it's nice outside. It hasn't been a bad winter so far. We've been very lucky given the fact that we're in Canada. It's been very mild outside. We can all go for a walk. Put on, you know, good shoes, get dressed for the weather and go for a little walk. You don't have to worry that you're gonna, you know, when it's really icy and there's a lot of snow, we have risks of falls because it's slippery. But right now it's actually perfect. You could go for a walk. So it's important that you do that for health, and it's important you eat in line for health.
Thank you. Thank you
You're very
for
welcome. Hi, Bonnie. Another question?
Hi, can we get anything, any protein or help from like supplements or multivitamins, or does it have to be food?
Ideally food, because food is not processed. Like you could go and get those protein powders, but those protein powders are very highly processed. So they take things, they turn them into powder. It's really that simple. They dry them, they put them through things, and they add flavors, then they add things so that they don't get, you know, they don't spoil. Then they add things to keep them dry. And so it's a lot of that. But you can, yes, you can add, like, you, for example, you could put a little bit of a scoop of protein powder, let's say, if you want, in your yogurt to boost up the protein in it. You can. But I always say food has so many other things. Remember what I said to you guys? An apple has like over 100 nutrients in it.
Wow.
There's fiber, there's vitamin C, there's like so many things, so many nutrients. The same thing like meat, right? We get B vitamin, B12, we get the protein, we get, like, there's a lot of things in foods, whereas those things don't have anything. It's like fractioned things that they take and they just give you protein. But oftentimes, yeah, they're highly refined, highly processed. It's not my favorite. But if you want to, you can. Yeah, there are things like that. Also, collagen powder is also, unless you find, like, for example, I make my own protein powder, but it takes a lot of work. And I take, you know, nuts and seeds, and I roast them, and then I blend them, and it's a lot of work. But I like to know what's in it. I don't put anything, and I just make batches that I could finish quickly so that it's fresh all the time. Remember, those big things that you see at the store, you don't know how long they've been there for.
Yeah.
And if you look at the expiration date, it's like it expires in 2 years. So they could sit on the shelf for 2 years until you buy it.
Okay, thank you.
Food is king. You're welcome.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any other questions? Next week, we're going to talk about carbohydrates, and those are important too, but you guys will learn about how those actually affect your blood sugar, because that's important too. But it's important for another big reason, so that you're not going to be messing around with your blood sugar that leads to type 2 diabetes or things of that nature. Because type 2 diabetes, remember we talked about in the beginning, you know, kidney dysfunction, amputations of legs, blindness, neuropathy. So anyways, any other questions about protein? Remember to take your protein in. You guys have learned about the importance of it. No falling. You need to be strong and healthy. You need to have good, healthy muscles to keep you steady. Every single time you walk, you don't know it, because a lot of stuff we do is very involuntary. But the abdominal wall, the abdominal muscles are always keeping you straight and steady. You don't know it, but it does that all the time. When you walk, when you sit into a chair, when you get up from a chair, you're engaging your muscles. Those muscles require protein. So all the muscles in the body require things that you're not even aware of that they have to work. You'll only learn after they stop working, and you're like, oh, wow, I can't walk. I broke my leg. I really needed that leg. So yes, it's very important. And remember, the heart is a muscle too. In fact, everything in the body has like muscle tissue. And that's why it's important. Like, for example, the colon, when we go to the bathroom, okay, after we eat, it goes through the stomach, it goes through the small intestine, the body absorbs all the nutrients, and then it just has the waste. That has to travel through all those, nooks and crannies, and then it goes into the bowel, and the bowel has to move it out until it gets to the anus for you to go to the bathroom. Well, those muscles are the ones that kind of push it along, that you feel like you have to go to the bathroom. That's muscle. That's muscle. If that muscle doesn't work, you're not going to be able to go to the bathroom. You know how that feels, right? I'm sure we've all been constipated at some point or another. I know when I have to go to the bathroom and I don't, or I can't, or I don't go because I'm, let's say, I don't know, and I'm not near a washroom, I can't think. I literally cannot think. It turns off my brain completely. There's a big correlation between brain and the colon. I'm completely distracted. All my thoughts go to, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Even if somebody talks to me, I'm like, I'm not there. So muscles, those are muscles. The heart is a muscle. Like, imagine how much this protein has to do inside the body. It has to go to the colon, it has to go to the heart, it has to go to all the muscles that you need to pick up your groceries, to take a plate out of the cupboard so that you could eat your dinner, or to make food for your family, or to take a glass of water, bring it to your mouth. It actually, you need the muscles to do all that work for you. So very, very important. Make sure you get your protein in. And of course, remember, you can send me any questions you have in the WhatsApp group. Chandra, yes. What's your question?
What about, sorry, I'm asking too many questions.
That's okay. No, you're not.
What about drinking hot milk at night? Is that good enough for protein to make it up for a whole day?
Oh, to make up for the day? No. Your your digestive system is looking for things throughout the day, because throughout the day, it takes all that you eat, it takes all the nutrients, and at night when you're sleeping, that's when it does repairing of the muscles. That's when it sends things to produce hormones. That's when it goes and it produces the enzymes. It gives things to the immune system. So you cannot go and drink hot milk to make up for the whole day, because the body still has to process that. When you go to sleep, that's not when you're supposed to digest. When you sleep, you're supposed to clean up, detoxify, and you're supposed to repair. It has like other functions that it does throughout the night. In the circadian, like the body goes according to a circadian rhythm, a circadian system. And what it does is, at certain hours, different body systems are more functional. Like, for example, the digestive system is most alert, working at its top peak at 7 a.m. That's why we're supposed to break the fast in the morning. And that's why we call it breakfast, because we're supposed to fast during the night. So at night, we don't eat. We don't force the body to process foods. If you're going to eat anything before you go to sleep, and I don't think anybody should, but if you absolutely have to, let's say that you shouldn't, because when I fast, even if I'm hungry before I have to go to sleep, what's going to happen? I say, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm going to faint. Well, faint in bed and sleep. You're okay. You won't die. It's better to fast when you have to go to sleep than eat. Like, you're doing more damage by eating than by fasting. So if you're going to be drinking anything before bed, it should be maybe hot tea with no caffeine to help you actually relax and sleep. When you activate your digestive system, that's going to keep you awake. A lot of people who actually eat before bed are the ones who have really poor sleep. And a lot of people can tell you they have bad dreams when they eat right before they sleep. A lot of people don't have good quality sleep. The body cannot go into deep sleep that will lead to repair. Also, milk has lactose. Lactose is the sugar of the milk, So you're going to get that sugar in the blood as well. Then you're going to have to take out the insulin to deal with that sugar. So it's a lot of things that the body has to do when it's actually supposed to be resting and doing other things like, producing things, cleaning up, detoxifying. They're supposed to be resting then. This would keep food, anything that people eat before bed keeps you awake. Because now you have blood in your system. You have blood sugar. Your blood sugar went up. So the sugar, what does it do? It gives you energy. You're going to have energy. You're not going to be like in a relaxed mode to sleep. The only people that have milk at night are babies when they need to eat because they have to. Their stomachs are the size of a walnut. They can't eat much at the meals. They have to eat very little more often. So no eating before bed, fasting. Tea is okay. Any other questions? Mary, is that your hand up? If it is, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
Sorry, no.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
Even a few berries will do harm, Simone?
They don't do harm. I don't want to say that anybody's gonna anything that.
No,
like,
I mean at night, just before going to bed.
I would not.
Okay.
I'm not a big believer that people should eat. And if you're gonna eat anything, you should eat things that don't have any sugar. So like, let's say half an avocado would probably be good, like fat, which helps with the hormones too. So that would be something. Something that's going to make you feel full. You're not going to raise your blood sugar at all. You don't want to do a lot of, like, your body should not be doing a lot of work to digest. But I would rather people should not eat before bed. Yeah, you should eat about 3 hours. Like 3 hours before you go to sleep is a good time. But if you could do 4 or 5, if you eat at 6 o'clock and go to bed at 10, it's perfect. And I know it's difficult. Don't think I don't know. I know it's difficult. Most people work until 5.
I want to check the connection settings in the Google Home app.
Any other questions, anybody? And I have, like I said, you could put them in the WhatsApp group. I'm available there. And everybody, this is literally the last session of 2023. I just realized. I'll see you guys in 2024. The next session is, what is it? Let me look at the date really quickly. The next session is January 4th. So I'll see you guys next year. Next
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Okay, thank you, Simone.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome, everybody. Remember, put your questions in the WhatsApp group. Get yourself added. If you haven't added yourself, I put a lot of pictures there. People ask questions, I answer them there. So I'm also available there. But Happy New Year. Make sure that you celebrate responsibly. Make sure you get your protein in. And I will see you guys on January 4th.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Make sure you pass. Bye.